So it was in the book of Job, the 18th chapter. And this is at the 7th verse. It says, the steps of his strength shall be straightened, right? And his own counsel shall cast him down. So the people that are going to be, they're in confidence with Esau and that, man. All right? And basically that are sitting down on down on Esau's table and all of that, as the scripture prescribes, man. They're pretty much going to lay a trap for these guys, man. All right? And that's what you're seeing playing out out there within the Middle East and with the Russia and so on and so forth, and how the Russians, all right, are pretty much, you know, checkmating the Americans, man. All right, they're checkmating them in the sense that they said, look, the Americans gone out into there and they're so-called eliminating targets, but really they ain't eliminating no targets. The Russians went up into there and got rid of them mans out there, and you know, the NATO and the U.S. government was pretty much left looking like idiots, man. All right, but see, they still want Assad to be taken out of power. All right, and with that principle being said, guess what? You're still going to have that situation escalate. And that's why the scripture says, right, though it tarry, wait for it, because it's going to surely come to pass, man. This man's pride is going to have it to where this thing's going to play out, man. All right? His own agenda, see, he's going to spread forth his military out thin, just like how we did back in the time when he came in, and as he came under the name and the banner of the Romans, man. Okay? They spread their military too thin. Right, they tried to acquire and conquer as much of the world as they possibly could do, but ultimately that was one of the reasons that they were brought down, man. Now, really, it goes into prophecy and how the Most High wanted it to where Jake was going to go back into power, and that's how you had the Holy Roman Empire. Okay, but really, when you look at it from a historical point of view, they spread their military out too thin, man. All right, that's why they was, you know, that's why they had it to where, you know, different people can roll up in there, and ultimately they was taken down. And that's what you're having it right now with the American government. They're spending their military too thin, right? But see, this time the Most High is going to send back his son, all right, and under his, you know, his son's going to take, you know, have it to where this man's going to be taken out of power, man. All right. So back in Job 18th chapter and the 8th verse, it says, and he is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare. It says, the gin shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. It says, the snare is laid for him in the ground, and the trap for him in the way. And it says, and terror shall make him afraid on every side. All right. So terror is gonna make him afraid on every side, whether that be, you know, North Korea, right? Whether it's gonna be Iran, whether it was gonna be Russia. Right, it's gonna be terrorists making you afraid on every side, man. Right, because like I say all the time, man. Back in the day, you needed a large military force, but you just need the ICBM nuclear, man. All right, you just need those things that, you know, that Esau put forth, man. But see, the Lord allowed it to where He created those, because that was gonna be the instrument of His own destruction. That's why the scripture says it here best when it says, right, he is cast into a net by his own feet, right, and he walketh upon a snare, because ultimately those weapons that Esau created, he created them for his own destruction, and there's no use for those weapons after he's taken out, and there's no need for those instruments of war prior to him being taken out. They were inspired by the Most High solely for the purpose of him destroying himself, man. So he's laid that trap out for himself. Okay, so I'm going to go back into the book of Psalms, the 37th chapter. Right, it's back in the book of Psalms, the 37th chapter, and it's the 2nd verse, alright? So it says, and they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb, alright? Trust in the Lord, alright, and do good, so that thou shalt dwell in the land, verily thou shalt be fed. Okay, so ultimately, you know, the people that are going to eat, all right, it's going to be the men of the Lord that be pushing this word in sincerity, you know, week in, week out, doing shows, doing videos. Those are the people that are going to be, that's going to eat in that day, man. All right. Matter of fact, if I go to Proverbs, the 1st chapter, the 26th verse, that point is very exemplified. All right. All right, this is I start first in Isaiah the 65th chapter, 65th chapter, and in fact, I'll start from the top. It says, I am sort of them that ask me before me not. See, it touches on different things. The point is going to be in the 13th chapter. All right? But I'm going to start from the top. It's Isaiah 65:1. It says, I am sort of them that ask not for me. I am found of them that sought me not. And I said, behold, right? Behold me unto a nation, right, that was not called by my name. All right? Because the nation of Israel became... really that's talking about how what was going to happen in the future, but that's already happened to where Jake pretty much became like another nation. Right? If you compare how we dwell right now in comparison to how we dwelt during the time of King David and King Solomon, you look at the nation of Israel as a completely different nation back then in comparison to what they are now. Right? Because right now they all up into the philosophies of the heathen. They're into the philosophies of the so-called white man. Go to the white man's schools and so on and so forth. And when we talk about white, I'm talking about Esau. Right? Because it's not a color, right? You see, the scripture says here how the Lord was going to be sort of them that he knew not, because this truth was first pushed forth in Jerusalem. But see, they rejected the truth because it was simple. And that allowed it for the Gentiles to come up in there, all right? And those Gentiles were really just Jake, right? Israelites. They were into, they were the children of those guys that were into them different customs, man. See, you had the wicked men that were in Israel that made a covenant with the heathen, that's spoken about in the book of Maccabees, which I read a little bit earlier on. All right, their children weren't necessarily wicked, man, but it was born underneath that category. So they were born uncircumcised. They were born following the fashions of the heathen. All right, but they had that spirit of that spirit of which they were of the elect. Example that comes to mind is the man Cornelius, man. See, he had the spirit of the elect, right? But he was born under the circumstances of the heathen. So what happened? The Most High allowed it to where what? That word was going to go out to them, man. All right, and they was going to wake up into the understanding that they was the Israelites, man. And that's the same thing that's happening right now in the times that we're living in right now. You got different Israelites out there that might look Italian, they might look like Edomites, they might look like Moabites, but they're waking up to the fact that they're Israelites. Why? Because the Spirit bears witness with us that we are the children of the Most High, man. All right, see, this is all a spiritual thing that's being played out upon the earth right now. All right, it's not no carnal thing that's being played out on the earth, lest any man should boast. All right, so this is back in the book of Isaiah 65 and 2. So I will spread out my hands, right, all the day unto a rebellious house, which walketh in a way that was not good after their own thoughts. All right, so Jake walk after their own thoughts, man. They are about their agenda, right, that pleases their own. All right, forwardly minded thinking, I believe is the quote that IUIC has been quoted as saying, man. All right, as if to say the scripture doesn't say supposing gain is godliness. See, when you're all up into and don't get me wrong, man, you're going to get certain things. The Lord will allow you to have certain things, but you're all about prosperity within society. As we've just seen in the book of Psalms 37 chapter, only the wicked is going to prosper in this society, man. Why? Because it is a wicked kingdom. All right? If it's a wicked kingdom, by straight deduction, only the wicked is going to prosper. If it was a righteous kingdom, then the people doing righteously is going to be more in favor. Therefore, they're going to be more prosperous, man. All right, so that whole prosperity doctrine that Nate is teaching, all right, that's contrary to the scriptures, man. All right, that's going on. All right, so let me get the book of Hosea, the 4th chapter, rather, and the 6th verse. All right, because the scripture says here, man, right, how the Lord reached his hand forth, right, unto a rebellious people. Right, Hosea 4:6, it says, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because they have rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. Seeing thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy father, I will also forget thy children. So the Lord's going to forget certain guys, kids, in that time of calamity and that, man. Right, the Lord will have it to where that whole family of yours will be taken away from you, and then he'll take you out lost, man. All right? Back in Isaiah, the 65th chapter, in the 2nd verse, it says, I've spread out my hands rather, all the day unto a rebellious people. And who represents the hand of the Lord? Right? The prophets that the Most High has set up, right? Setting forth the elders, the GMS, That's the hand of the Lord stretching forth out, man. All right, telling you guys you're gonna get right, man. All right, you're gonna stop following the wicked deeds that you're doing. Stop eating pork, grow your beard, right, and so on and so forth. Get right with the Most High. That's what the prophets are doing. But see, we're doing that, but it's like you're getting more scoffers than anything, and really that's just an attribute to show you that we're in the latter times, because the book of 2 Peter says, knowing this verse, that in the last days you're going to get scoffers looking after their own lust. But notice that there's a common theme amidst all of these things. It's people doing the desires of their own heart, man, the lust of their own hearts. Excuse me. All right. So it says there, I have spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in a way that was not good, and after their own thoughts. Okay, so let me key in on that word, after their own thoughts, in the book of Jeremiah, the 17th chapter and the 9th verse, right quick. All right, because you're going to see pretty much the desires of your own heart, what you're thinking about in your own heart. That's against the scriptures, man. All right, because out of the heart is desperately wicked, man. So this is the book of John, the 17th chapter and the 9th verse, all right? All right, it says, the heart is deceitful above all things. So above all else, right, is the thoughts of his mind. Because the word heart there is la'ab, meaning mind. A man's thoughts are more deceitful than anything else, man. All right? Why? Because you got it to where, Most High is going to have it to where all kind of different spirits is going to come up into there, right? And you're gonna be battling demons all day, man. But see, if you allow that leaven to come forth, if you allow it to where that leaven grows, man, guess what? You're gonna be in the pickle, man. All right. So it says there, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? All right. Jump to Matthew the 15th chapter on the 19th verse, real quick. Matthew 15 and 18 rather more, it says, but those things which proceedeth out of a man, out of the mouth of man, come forth from the heart, they defile him. All right, so it comes forth from your mouth, and from your mouth it comes from your head. Your head is wicked. The only way you can filter that is to get into these scriptures, man. See, if you ain't about the scriptures, guess what? You're just gonna be saying what's on your mind. What's on your mind is already gonna defile you. So you're just gonna make yourself more, even more of a fool, man. All right. So it says here, for out of the heart proceedeth evil thoughts, murderers, adultery, which is big amongst Hispanic Native Americans. All right, fornications, theft, false witness, and blasphemies. All right, but which one blasphemy that comes to mind is saying that the name of the Lord is not important. That's blasphemy. That's a thought that came out of your mind, man. And that goes to prove to you that the heart is difficult, because that actually came out of someone's mind. Because the scripture tells you the importance of the name of the Lord. It says the name of the Lord is a strong tower. All right. So now, if you know that the name of the Lord is a strong tower to him that runneth to it, what are you going to do? What's the first thing you're going to want to do? You're going to want to find that out. All right. And by way of you desiring to find that out, you really, the Most High will open up them scriptures unto you, to where you go to certain monuments that were named after the Lord. All right. To certain, tribes. A whole tribe was named in part after the name of the Lord, Yahweh, which means Yahweh thanks, man. All right, you're meaning to tell me that the Lord didn't give us the name, but all of these people are supposed to have, all of these different monuments were named after the Lord, but they've taken that name away from us. That's ridiculous, man. All right, but that came from a man's thought, and those thoughts are desperately wicked. See, because he has no fear. All right, the Lord didn't open out his mind onto the understanding of the scriptures, because Proverbs the first chapter and the seventh verse. All right, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of understanding. That's when the Most High is going to sup with you and open up all kind of spiritual understandings unto you, when you have the fear of him. All right, and that's the same thing with any form of discipline. When you fear your teacher, whether it's in boxing or basketball or school or mathematics, whatever, when you really fear that teacher, you have a certain respect for him, so you're going to listen to what he says. See, when you don't fear the Lord, how are you going to fear his prophets? Because we're men, we're flesh. All right? If you ain't fearing the Lord, how are you going to fear the prophets? This Lord said, therefore you ain't really just going, you ain't going to follow the Lord's ordinances, man. It's going to walk about your own, defiling yourself, man. All right, and that's why the scripture says, because you have rejected these principles that the Most High set forth, whether it's openly or inwardly, because you got certain guys that come within the fold and they'll play the part. All right, they'll pretend that they're part of the whole part of the circle, but see, really in their inward thoughts, their inward man is not renewed. Their inward man is still stuck within this society, man. All right, and when that time of difficulty trumps, because the scripture says how a man cannot be known in the time of prosperity. You know, say some difficulty comes along, that guy's gonna be, you know, he's gonna be more distant. You ain't gonna see that guy, man. All right. So you go back onto Isaiah the 65th chapter and the 3rd verse. It says, "And the people have provoked me to anger continually to my face, that sacrifice in the garden and burnt incense in the altar of bricks, which remain amongst the graves, and lodge them in the monuments which eat swine's flesh, and abominable things in their vessel." All right, which says, "Stand by thyself, and come not near to me, for I am holier than thou, as a smoke in my nose, as that burneth all day." All right, because these guys, they're on some holier than thou type of spirit, man. Especially IUIC. Their whole thing is, if you ain't making a certain amount of money, man, the Lord pretty much ain't dealing with. But history has showed that the Most High has always dealt with guys you would just, that guy's a bum, man. But see, the Lord Spirit, the Lord will be heavy upon that individual. All right. Hell, when the Lord came into certain cities, he moved in a certain way. He dressed in a certain way. John the Baptist dressed in a certain way. All right. But see, the irony of the situation is, those two individuals almost dealt in a different way. Because see, John came eating locusts and honey, and wild honey. But Yahushua, he came eating food. He was going to weddings. He was getting it in. But what did the people say? They complained about both. Why? Because these niggas are hypocrites, man. All right. Oh, their whole thing. It doesn't matter what stance they take. Their whole thing is to be against the scripture. But see, against the scriptures rather. But see, that's their lot to play. All right. That's what they was designed to do. They was designed not to follow the Lord's statutes, commandments, or the Most High by whatever means necessary. Why? Because they were the 2/3. Zechariah the 13th chapter and the 8th verse, right? Where it talks about 2/3 of the 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, man. All right? The 1/3 that's going to be brought through the fire, which is going to be the fire of adversity, all right? And they was going to make it through, man. All right? So back in the book of Isaiah, the 65th chapter, and this is the 6th verse, it says, "Behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silence, but I will recompense into their bosom your iniquity and the iniquity of your father, saith the Lord, right, which have burnt incense upon the mountains and blasphemed me upon the hills. Therefore will I measure their own formal work into their own bosom." All right. So all of the work that you've been doing, right, as pertaining to being wicked, the Most High is going to return that upon your own head. All right. To the end, you clearly saw it within the scriptures where it says,